And welcome everyone to the top of Partington Hall here on the beautiful Hillside campus of NY College. My name is Brad. I'm a station manager here at WNYK 88.7 FM, the home of Warrior Radio. And we're excited today to have OM-53 live in studio today. They're a talented band from nearby New Jersey, and we're so glad that they could join us today. First things first, guys, thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it. Welcome to Warrior Radio.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's our blast. OM-53 is a synth wave pop band from New Jersey that, with their Stranger Things-like sounds and faith-based lyrics, are touching the hearts of people worldwide. Their nostalgic 80s-inspired sound immediately transport the listener to a night at the arcade with songs like Defender, Runaways, Seasons, and Hands Up. You're going to hear some of those later, guys, so stay tuned. The band made a statement that their sound was here to stay. With over 600K streams in over 75 countries, which I think is really cool, the band has been able to build a solid worldwide fan base, ready to see them perform in 2020. OM-53 consists of songwriter and producer Chris Araya and Mariah Araya, and Scott Nash, and in collaboration with producer Ivan Alfaro. The group has performed at venues across the East Coast and Tennessee, youth conferences, and is open for Grammy-nominated singer Jackie Velasquez. In early 2019, about a year ago, OM-53 began releasing singles once a month and were picked up by official Spotify playlists such as New Music Friday, Sing a New Song, Pop for Life, and Indie Spirit. The band closed 2019 with over 600K streams and listeners in at least 75 countries worldwide, which I want to talk to, guys. As OM-53 continues to spread their smooth 80s pop sound, the group remains true to their roots with their faith-filled lyrics, leaving their listeners challenged, encouraged, and inspired to grow in their walk and journey with God. So first things first, guys, if you could kind of just formally introduce yourself and mention your role in the band.
Well, I'm Chris Araya, and I'm the lead singer, producer, songwriter, and basically do whatever is needed to do in the band.
Yep, and I'm Scott Nash. I do kind of drums and percussion type stuff, as well as some background vocals and harmonies. Cool. And just same thing, help out with whatever songwriting we're doing at the time.
Yeah, and how did you guys all meet?
It's crazy because we go to a church called Oasis Church, and it's CMA church too. And we all met in late 2015.
I see.
Right,
okay.
late 2015.
So,
yeah, when I was transitioning from a Spanish-speaking church.
Yep.
And I was looking for a church, and I found Pastor Dave Butler, and Scott was coming back from Liberty in Virginia, right?
Familiar with
so
that, yeah.
You finished your first year down there, and then you came back up here at Rutgers, where we were planting a church. And we all kind of met and became part of the worship team, and I was the worship director there.
I see.
But I always knew from the beginning that I wanted to do something like way different. I wanted to write our own music and do something outside of the normal. And one thing led to the other, and we ended up with OM-53.
Yeah.
Cool. How did you guys get into your specific field? You were saying drums, background singing, producer, singing. How did that, was it something growing up, was singing an outlet for you? Did it come from family, or was it kind of an individual, like I said, outlet where you kind of did it yourself?
Well, for me, it just kind of came out of nowhere.
I see.
I don't particularly have a super musical family. I just started playing the game Rock Band one day, and I really liked playing the drums, and I just kind of kept grinding away at it until I was pretty good at it, and then I transitioned that into playing for like the worship band for the youth group at church, and playing with some of my buddies, and just kind of kept it going from there.
It's amazing how you're not the first person. A few people have said Rock Band.
Yeah.
And like Guitar Hero. It's funny the impact those games have had.
Yeah. For myself, when I gave my life to Christ at 15, I just knew from the get-go, I said, God, I want to be used, right? And the first thing that I saw at that youth camp was that there was a band up front, and that whatever they were doing was impacting the people down there. And I left that youth camp, and I asked my buddy if I could borrow his guitar, and that's just the first thing that came to mind. And I started learning how to play guitar. And from guitar, depending how musical you are, you just hop on to the next instrument, and then the next one, and the next one, and then producing just kind of became part of the thing of, well, I'm writing my own songs, and I want to share these, so I kind of have to learn how to do this stuff.
Yeah. Okay, writing in your band, Does it change? Does somebody take the lead? Is it something where the music comes first? I always get curious about how the writing works in a band.
Well, every song is different.
Yeah.
Every song, every project is different. In the first album, most of the songs were songs that I had written prior, right, to meeting you guys.
That makes sense.
And then I'd bring them in, and I'd say, guys, all right, like, let's grab these songs, and what do you guys think? So Scott would say, hey, I think we should change this in the verse, and then Mariah would say, which she's the melody queen. Mariah's the one that likes to create all the melodies. So she'll say, well, I like how you did this, but let's change this up. And then as a team, we collaborate and polish songs. And then some other songs we just sit down from scratch and write them together.
Yeah.
But we usually like to have some music already written, so I'll sit down and I'll write the music, and I'll bring that over to you guys and say, well, this is the idea of the song. Help me come up with lyrics and a melody.
Yeah.
The impact that faith has on your writing, because we were talking off air before we started the journey as a Christian. It's not all roses and sunshine. There's peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah.
If you could talk about how your journey as a Christian kind of coincides with your journey as a musician, right?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
This is something that me and Chris have been talking about since we kind of started the whole thing, where we feel like a lot of current Christian music is very, I don't know if optimistic is the right word, but it's kind of just always very hopeful and like there's something great, but realistically, like we don't always have that perspective. And so one of the things that we talked about was like, music passes such power and emotion through it that it can kind of connect any culture, regardless of
universal language, right?
Exactly. Whether you know the language of the lyrics or not, like you can feel something with the song. So what we talked about was like, because there's that power in music, and like we know that our lives as humans and as Christians is very up and down. Like we wanted to hit something that was as relatable as possible. So like a song like Hands Up, that was a very real experience for us too, and I'm sure any Christian at some point, where you just kind of hit this low point where you don't even want to pray. Like you don't feel those same like kind of awesome great vibes from about God and who Jesus is, and you kind of just start shutting down. So we wanted to hit that, but then we also want to talk about how God is always there for us, how he is always providing and making a way, and there is a time for those more like joyful, hopeful songs as well.
Yeah, and to add on to the Hands Up thing, it's that even though we might not feel like we want to pray, we might not feel like we are in the best place in our Christian walk or whatever, God is still the same, and he will never change. He's always there, and that's the beauty of it. So where does our faith come into our lyrics and songwriting? I think it's everywhere, absolutely everywhere, because we're writing about our lives, and we just happen to be walking out this faith. And even if we end up one day ever writing a love song or whatever, like we're still Christians, and we still, the way we deal with things is always bringing it to the feet of Christ and saying, Lord, like we surrender this, right? And I think that's how it goes into our music.
I like that, and it segues perfectly, because we're going to hear Hands Up. And then we're going to hear, after Hands Up, we're going to hear Defender. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Defender, and then we'll get into some other questions. Once again, guys, you're listening to WNYK 88.7 FM. And again, this is Hands Up by OM-53.
I am broken, I feel shaken.
So good. So good, guys. That was awesome. That was Defender, OM-53. If you could talk about the inspiration behind Defender. And then we were talking off air, too. It's been a pretty successful song for you guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been probably the most successful song on YouTube and on all the different countries that people listen to us. So the inspiration, honestly, was a song. I wanted to write a song that was simple to sing, right? That was catchy, and that definitely had all the 80s like right into it. But as far as the lyrics, I just wanted to talk about how sometimes as Christians, when we're going through a difficult situation, we immediately tend to forget that we have been through difficult situations before, yet we made it out because of God's mercy and because of his grace. And it's just a song to remind us that while you're going through a difficult situation, just know that you'll be fine. Like, you'll be fine. This is temporary, and God has a purpose for whatever pain you're going through or whatever uncertainty. So it's basically about that. He's our defender. Yeah. All you got to do is like take a moment, sit back, let it go, and just realize that he's your defender. So a very simple song.
Yeah. I wanted to ask this earlier, but I switched gears by accident. OM-53. How'd that come to be? 'Cause that was one of the first things I noticed. That's a different name.
So OM-53 stands for On Mission 53.
I see.
So we're on a mission to tell people about Isaiah 53. Jesus came and took that spot on the cross for us. You know what we deserved. He's the one that came and did it. And while he was here, people didn't recognize him for who he was because they were expecting something else. So he took all of our pain, and we want to let people know about that.
Cool. I like that. Yeah, I was wondering about that, how that all came to be. Okay, favorite musical memory for you guys? And this is an individual question. It doesn't have to be the same anthem. Maybe it is. But favorite musical memory for you? And it doesn't even have to be
about
from
us.
this band. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can go over.
Like a moment that you close your eyes and you're like, man, that was cool.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Could it be like meeting somebody?
Absolutely.
Anything?
Anything music related where you're inspired. Concert, a conference you went to, all that stuff.
Yeah. I'll give two, because so I grew up listening to like a lot of metal and hardcore music. So when I first joined a band, I actually was doing vocals for a metal band when I was like 16.
Yeah.
He still sings metal like.
Yeah.
He can do it.
So probably the first show that I played, like when it was just like in the youth room at our church.
Yeah.
It was like pretty much just our parents that were there.
Yeah.
You know, like something really lame, but it was still cool because it was just like the first
Well,
time
it's your
ever
first
doing
show,
it.
right? Like,
Yeah. So that's definitely up there. And then with OM, probably when we played at a youth retreat in Tennessee.
I noticed that in the bio, how you guys were in Tennessee.
Yeah, that was a huge. I think that was kind of like almost a turning point for us, where we really realized like this
People
is like
really
this is connecting, you know, because most of those kids had never, actually probably none of them had heard our music before that night, and just like the way
they connected.
Yeah. It just was like crazy. Like they're jumping, singing along, like wild stuff. So that was awesome.
That must be a rush for you guys when you're playing, right? Like to see that.
Definitely.
Like to feed off of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is that we write these songs, and then whatever that process is, which is long, from writing to then producing the music to then bringing to the studio and polishing it. You listen to it so many times that you tend to forget the impact that these songs have. So when you release it and you let it go, it's no longer yours. It's whoever's listening to it.
Yeah, and their interpretation.
Yeah, and when you go play a show and these people are singing the song back to you, you're like, wow, like I don't own this anymore. This is not mine. This is somebody else's, and it's such an amazing feeling. But for my part, that what Scott said, that show in Tennessee,
That was,
number one. But just lately, no, when was it? Like about 2 weeks ago, right? 2 weeks ago, we went to see a band called the Almost.
Oh yeah.
So if you're familiar with the Almost or Under Oath, there's the drummer for Under Oath. His name is Aaron Gillespie, and I grew up looking at him as a role model. And they came to play in Asbury Park in New Jersey, and we had nothing to do on that Wednesday or Thursday, so we went to watch them, and the show was empty. It was just like almost, it was like 30 people there.
Yeah,
there was nobody there.
Yeah.
But like, I was so happy with that because he was a role model to me for like a long time, and I got to see him so close, and I got to sing songs that I grew up in high school listening to and got me through like life.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like singing with him, and it was just a really cool moment because he was like one of my role models, so I got to see.
Yeah, that would be cool. Especially, it's almost better that it was not that many people, I think.
Yeah, it was like much more intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Artists that inspire you guys. Maybe you mentioned one there. But yeah, artists that inspire you. Current, past, any of that stuff.
I mean, I think just to jump into it, the artist that mostly inspired us to do synthwave in the first place is the Midnight.
Yeah, I could see that.
The Midnight, FM84, Time Cop, 1985. 1985 or 83, one of those two.
It's 83.
Yeah, 83. Yeah, so as far as sound, them, definitely.
Yeah.
But my favorite band of all time is Coldplay.
Yeah.
Coldplay, they musically, they mean like the world to me because they're not afraid to change. And every single album they put out, they're Coldplay, but they never stop changing, and they're okay with that. So that inspires me a lot to keep evolving.
Yeah, because not everybody. We were talking off air too. Like, you have a formula, right? That's successful, that they stick to it, even if they probably don't want to. But they can change and still. Yeah. Okay, your sound transports us back in town. I love it personally. How did that work with you guys coming up to the point? Again, we talked a little bit about this, but like taking the risk and going into more of a synth wave pop. Was that like a quick decision for you guys? You have to think about it, pray about it. I love it personally, and there's definitely for lack of a better term, market there for it. But
well, there's definitely prayer.
Because
we started as, I guess, like most bands, either they do rock or contemporary Christian music. You know, we started with contemporary Christian worship, but we just I guess weren't fully happy with it. It was like we were like, all right, this is cool. We have this passion, but we wanted to bring something different to the table because everything sounded the same.
Yeah.
But we didn't know exactly what it was that we wanted to do. We just wanted to bring something different. And when Scott and I took a road trip down to Nashville, Scott actually introduced me to synthwave, and I was hooked. I was like, I think this is it. Because there's nothing in the Christian contemporary scene that sounds like this, and I just loved it. I fell in love. Yeah. And then I prayed about it for some time, and on the way back, I was like, I'm gonna write a song, and I wrote Seasons.
And then it just
went from there. We just knew it was it.
I like that, how the first song you wrote was Seasons. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Like 2 every season, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, advice for bands. Even honestly, we're thankfully, because of our stream, we're heard everywhere, but we do have NYK college students who, I mean, you saw the building here. That's really cool. There's some talented people here. What advice would you have for people that are thinking of either getting into a band or even solo? And I know you're constantly evolving too, but advice you'd give?
I think the most important thing is to just like stick with the grind.
Yeah.
And it's not like the most flashy thing to hear, but it's kind of the most important thing is like you really need like to keep your backbone in it. Like you really need to grind away at it. And like I would consider us extremely blessed and fortunate to have the success that we have.
Yeah.
As quickly as we've gotten it. Because the reality is for most musicians is it takes a few years to start gaining any kind of traction.
Yeah.
So you really just need to stick through like times of not seeing much fruit for what you're doing and just keep grinding away at it.
Yeah, for my part is consistency.
Yeah.
And just do it even when you don't feel like doing it. Write even when you don't feel like writing, because maybe in some of those moments are when gold is going to come out. And so yeah, consistency, and as much discouragement as you might feel, because usually the people that are going to listen to your music first while you're trying to write and be somebody and create something are the people close to you.
Yeah.
But usually the people close to you just kind of know you as like Joe. They kind of know you just as Dave,
I see what you're saying.
right?
Yeah.
And they kind of give you a pat in the back, kind of like, hey, yeah, like good job,
Yeah.
like good
Yeah,
job,
that
yeah,
sounds
keep
good.
keep
Yeah.
going, whatever. But they might not take you as seriously as you wish you would take yourself. So if you feed off of that energy, you might end up not taking yourself as seriously. So
Yeah.
the number one thing that I'd say to musicians, and especially Christian ones, is first make sure that this is God's will for your life, like that 100% this is what God called me to do. And it doesn't matter at what level, whether it is one day you become famous, or whether it is that you're writing songs for your church, or whatever it is that you're doing at YouTube, whatever
Yeah.
that your purpose is. Just know that God called you to do this, and go for it. Just dive in and know that He's the one that's backing you up. He's the one that's with you, and He will open up whatever doors He needs to open up for Him to display what He has poured into you.
I like that.
Because it's
Yep.
all about Him. It's not about yourself.
Right.
So align your dreams with His. Align your purpose with His purpose. Seek Him. Seek the kingdom. And He will do what He has to do, always as He does. So that's my advice.
Maybe you guys have a different take on this because of your backbone being of faith, but the vulnerability and emotion that comes with releasing new music. Do you get that? Are you just, when you know it's getting out there, are you just flat out excited, or is there some nervousness releasing music? Because there's some sense of vulnerability releasing something that you wrote, right? Like, how does that work with your mindset when new music is released?
I can say that every single time that we release a song, I've already let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've already let it go. Obviously, you do get nervous as far as like, well, will people like
Yeah.
it? Right? Will people like it? How is this one gonna do with streaming or whatever? And I think that's a thing that now with Spotify and all these other streaming platforms, you can tend to maybe obsess about.
Yeah.
Constantly checking like the numbers. Well, who's listening, who's
Yeah.
not, right? But yeah, I guess I learned to let go and just say, well, whatever God wants. We put in the work. We did what we want, but God's the one that does whatever He
It's
wants.
almost
so.
like that saying, let go, let God. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
cliche as
Yeah.
it is, it's true. Just let it be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just pretty much the same thing for
Yeah.
me. Like, I haven't felt any kind of like nervousness about
Yeah.
them per se. Because I mean, at first it's just like, well, let's put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then once it starts gaining traction, it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. But more than anything, it's just kind of excitement, just to like, because we've been putting so much time and effort into these.
Well, it's your
songs
baby,
where-
right? And then you're
Exactly.
like,
It's
yeah.
like-
And they
It's
come
like-
out every month.
Yeah.
Like every single
Yeah.
month is a new song.
So it's just like we put a whole month into this, and we've been multiple days a week, every week, just pouring into it and trying to make it as good as it can be. And then I'm just excited to see if people think it's as good as we think it is.
Yeah, it's interesting how there's almost a change in the industry, probably because of the streaming platform.
Yeah.
We didn't really get into it, but in the longer bio, it talks about how it sounds like people are now releasing like a single a month now, right? And it all leads up to almost like an EP instead
Yeah.
of just like, all right, here's 10 songs or
Right.
something.
The
Yeah.
algorithms.
Yeah, it's also the fact that how much control you have as an independent artist
Yeah.
to do your own marketing, to do absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It's a great marketing technique because what happens is you can only release something once. You can't just like well, I mean, you could, but like it doesn't make any sense. So what happens is if nobody knows you really, right?
Yeah.
If you're just an independent artist and you release an album, you can't re-release that. So once you release a 12-song, 10-song album,
Yeah.
it kind of sits there, right?
Yeah.
And then like I'll come to you and you don't even know who I am, and a lot of people are showing you their music, or you just want to listen to your own music.
No, it's
and
true.
I'm
Yeah.
like, here's 10 songs of someone you don't even
Yeah.
know. Take an hour out of your day to
Yeah.
listen to us. It's
First
hard.
few will get played maybe, right?
yeah.
2 or 3, and then they'll be
Yeah,
like, oh, it's good.
yeah,
Yep.
right. So when you get to do this monthly, people have time for one song,
Yep,
right? Out of the
absolutely.
day, and then what happens is you give them a whole experience, you give them a whole journey of each song, and then you build a relationship with people
Yep.
because they see your journey. So yeah, it's an awesome.
Yeah, I've noticed that's kind of been a change. A lot of people are
Yeah.
doing that.
Yep.
Okay, before we hear Runaways, which I'm excited about, because that's new. Just Friday, right?
Friday.
Recently?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's doing well, right?
It's doing great. It's,
Yeah.
it's almost at 7K
Yeah.
on Spotify. So
Yeah.
not that I'm checking constantly because I'm not obsessed, right?
yeah. If you could mention website, which is a cool website, by the way. All that. You guys have cool art on there, too. I don't know where you guys get art or you're a photographer. Yeah. All that stuff. You can mention website, where people can find your music, if there are any upcoming shows, or if people can be directed where to go for that. Just plug everything.
Definitely. So you can find us at www.om-53.com. You can probably find us more directly on our Instagram at OM-53 _ right? And we are playing our next show is in Texas, in Beaumont. I probably said that.
I think it's Beaumont in March.
Yeah, March 21st. We're gonna be in Texas.
Wow.
So
never been there?
I've been to Texas, but
not
play anything.
Not Beaumont. Yeah, so we're playing Beaumont. I guess that's how you say it, Texas, and then we'll be up in PA in April, and yeah. So find us there. Look for us. If you guys DM us through Instagram, we always answer. And any questions, you can find us there.
Yeah. And what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to hear Runaways. This is the WNYK premiere, so I'm excited about this. If you could mention the inspiration behind this one before we let you guys go.
This one was kind of cool because we had like all the music for it. It was something that you started working on kind of like last year, right? Mm-hmm. So all the music was mostly done for it, and we kind of all came together and we're just like, we need some lyrics for this. And like generally, if Chris wrote music, he has an idea for lyrically what he wants to say. It's just we need to actually put it into words. And so the idea is just that like so often in life we come to a point where like there's a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of paths to go on, and we just kind of run towards whatever we want to a lot of times. Which can be like a Jonah situation where we're running away from what God is calling us to, because we don't want to do that, or we want to do something else, and it's just kind of about this like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm either running maybe in the right direction or the wrong direction, but at the end of the day, like trusting that God is gonna bring me to where He needs me to be, regardless of which way I try to run or which way I try to go, and we really just wanted to make it like something that you could close your eyes and like visualize happening yourself. So there's a lot of description of like you're in the car and you're just watching the scenery go by, like that kind of stuff.
Well, imagery is important, right? Because then people can relate to it.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't just hear, they see, I guess.
Yeah.
I like that. Good description. So guys, this is Runaways. Chris, Scott, thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you very much.
Anytime, send us your music, OM-53, otherwise known as On Mission 53, which was really cool. I didn't know that. So again, guys, this is Runaways, and you're listening to WNYK 88.7 FM, the home of Warrior Radio.